Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode one with me and Renee. And I just want folks to know I'm the nice one. And Renee, what are you? What would you classify? If I'm the nice one, what would you classify yourself as?
Sorry, just lost audio there for a second. What was your question?
So if I'm classifying myself as the nice one, what would you construe yourself as?
I think I'm the nicer one.
The nicer one, okay. So, folks are jumping in. This is the first one. So, me and Renee are going to talk about what our objective of this podcast is. If you look at our neat, and that was all done by Renee, folks, the logo there with this dog and Marshall Men. So, when I first saw it, I couldn't help but just run with it. So, yeah, I thought it was a great one. So, before we go, so what do you think? So, like, where like what do you think this is going to be about? Like what are your objectives? Like what do you want to see that we do and makes us different and unique?
I really think and I hope that just from what I know of you, that we can just keep this as honest as possible and kind of just call out, not even call out, just say, bullshit is bullshit. And just make things I think it's time to just kind of be realistic with what we do or what we train in, right? And just again, just be honest with what we see. And if it's just like, hey, that's a great drill, and that's a great drill, but when you start saying this is reality, and I think again, you and I have spoken about this ad nauseum. It's like the fact that we actually have a day job. It allows us to kind of say, it's funny. I was actually thinking about this earlier today, where when I was going through my grading for my silver sash in Kubik Kaban, I was taught a part of a knife system, and I flat out said, there isn't a chance in hell I'm teaching this to anybody. I'm doing this because of the cultural aspect of it, because that's what I need to do and learn and be like have that kind of knowledge. But as far as teaching this as a means of any kind of self-defense, no. Not happening.
Yeah, I mean, my objective is one, I think it's going to be a nice compliment with me and you as far as our personalities and that. And two, I think the whole gamut of what we can talk about, we're not going to just be boxed into FMA. I mean, we're going to be able to just do any aspect of martial arts and anything that's associated with it. Sometimes we're going to bring
our future sponsor.
And sometimes, like tonight, for instance, we might not have a guest, but it's because we're going to be talking about something that we don't perhaps need a guest on, but we are going to have guests on. Matter of fact, a couple folks reached out and I got a 10 of the list, and they are as follows. I had it here. There we go. Raymond Floro, Bill McGrath's going to come on about his recent article on knife. We're going to get hopefully between me and Renee, Eric.
Still there? I kind of lost you.
Was that? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? No?
Can you hear me at all? Or
I can hear you. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Can't hear you.
There's got to be. That's strange. Maybe try coming back in.
Okay, let me try to jump back in.
Okay. So we're waiting for them to come back. But at any rate, yeah, so sometimes we'll have folks on, sometimes we won't, depending on the subject matter. If there's something we think we can deal with or handle amongst ourselves, then we're going to go with that. But definitely got some folks already lined up. See if you can hear me now. How about now? How can that be? Technology. Nothing, huh? That is Strange. Anyway, well, I'm gonna see nothing, huh?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep,
You
I'm
can hear
back.
me? All right, good. Yeah, so I was just telling the folks, but basically, there's stuff that we could just cover like tonight, for instance. But we are, in fact, we'll be having folks on, but they're going to be not just like, oh, hey, let's cover. I mean, this could be dialed into a certain subject matter, right? And that. So, yeah, so that's kind of where the direction we're going to go in. This will be going and downloaded on a separate YouTube channel. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to be talking to Renee and get his feeling on whether we should create a group for where, as a hub, where to make announcements and that. But I'm going to see what he says on that. But for the time being, I'm going to post it in a discussion, but it won't. The final download won't be going to FMA discussion. It'll be going to the other YouTube channel, which I'll put the link in, of course. And there. Anything you want to add before I just acknowledge folks that are saying hello? And we have
I'm good to go.
Jeffrey, Brent, Kurt, Eric, O'Brien, Richard, Alvin, Robert. All right. Yeah, folks, if you're watching, tell us where you're watching from. Smash the like button. Also, well, the blinds, I mean, I kind of gave up on that. Renee said the GoFundMe.
I'm not gonna lie, I had to use a GoFundMe for my own personal reasons. So
yeah, so there you go. Danny Terrell, meh. Good for you, Coach Danny. All right, well, here goes this subject matter: social media and its relation to martial arts, and not specifically. We may make some reference tonight just out of recent occurrences that have happened at FMA, but it's not going to be just FMA centric. Social media obviously is being used by every martial art style out there. So, what say you? Social media and martial arts.
it's funny. I was another thing. Like I was thinking about this today as well. It sounds
like today you did a lot of thinking.
Well, that's what I do because I'm alone 90% of the time. When I sit there and I think about when I first was coming up in martial arts, there weren't a lot of instructors and there weren't a lot of people who were, sharing information. And, when social media came around, it was like a godsend to in a certain way. And then I started seeing the crap side of it, where people who want to be instructors who weren't instructors all of a sudden started posting stuff, or it just became like this weird thing where everybody was competing for like likes and look at me's, and I don't have enough content, so I'm going to make some crap up. And man, like you and I've talked about this before. It's just like it's crazy the stuff that's coming out now.
Yeah, and it's in, dare I say the word weaponized. But what I mean by that, when I say weaponized, is that obviously I'm going to go into a bunch of aspects of this: accountability, the loss of face-to-face interaction, the mob mentality when certain things are done, and if your instructors hold you accountable as far as how to interact. I mean, but what I mean by the weaponization is that, okay, well, I could post this. It doesn't really matter what my credentials are or where I got this from. But the fact that if I get so many people watching it and they like it, well, hey, who the hell cares of what time I put in, or my lineage, or, background or achievements in there. And so that being, what I mean by the weaponization, then there's a negative aspect where now I'm going to weaponize my brand to belittle people and stuff like that. And that's what I really upsets me and I don't like. But it also can be a very positive tool, right?
It can be. I just don't see it being used that way. Like if anything, I sit here and I'm like, man, this could bring so many people together, and it's doing the opposite. It's it's like these TikToks that I see where people will make a joke on TikTok and then someone else will copy the exact same joke without deviating from it. But not really knowing what the hell it means, right? Or especially when it comes to martial arts.
I've seen that.
And I'm cool with like you can show whatever you want, but it's okay. You need to realize you're going to be judged for some of the things that you do as well, right? Like I have some videos out there, and I try to like remove as many of videos that I have out there as possible, and people will judge you on it and everything else. But it's when you start calling bullshit on someone's videos where you have to look at what you do as well, because there's a lot of people out there who are like, oh, that's garbage and that's nonsense and that'll never work, and they're posting videos that are just as bad. If not worse in some cases, right?
Yeah, and no, all the above. I've seen, and as well as you have, and but it's the dopamine, where it's like you post this stuff, and if people are really into that stuff, even though there might not be a functional aspect to it, that just perpetuates this vicious cycle of going and going. Like that's what I'm seeing now. Like and I get it and again, but this is a touchy thing in my opinion, because man, if this is like you said it, like right in the beginning, thank God we're not, we got day jobs or whatever. But like if you are relying on this for income, I get what you have to do. You know what I mean? And who am I to say what you should or shouldn't do, because I come obviously, as you well know, particularly in knife, I'm in the functional lane. You see my material. I mean, how many drills I got? You know what I mean? It's like, no, I'm going to try to kill you and you're going to try to stop me. You're going to try to kill me. I'm going to try to stop you with a framework of context and methodology, right? So it's just not, open, just with no context or methods. So, but
well, you're one of the few people that I've actually trained with that kind of understood some of the things that I was playing, like when I was playing around in the infamous, basement experience, where you ran in, like you were running in, and I like did like a spiked fence on you, and you're like, oh, you did a fence, and it's like all this stuff kind of made sense, and it was like there was a purpose to the movement, which a lot of people would kind of miss. And what I'm seeing now is just people are just putting crap out just for the sake of putting crap out, and that's my problem. Yeah. And again, I am very jaded when it comes to martial arts.
I've become as of late. We could talk about that too.
Well, the fact that you hang out with me probably made it worse, but it's like I see some of the stuff that people put out, and they're like, "Oh, this is the number one thing you should use in a stick fight or in a fight, or you gouge the guy's eye out." It's like, what are you talking about? Like this is not stuff that you have ever done. Like you don't even you're doing this because you want more likes, and there are people out there who are literally, like you said, addicted to the fact that they have 5 million views on a shit video.
Yeah, they wake up in the morning and they see it all, and it just perpetuates, right?
Yeah, it's like they're in their shower going, "Oh, I have so many likes. Everybody loves me."
Yeah, I mean, it's addictive like anything else, right? I mean,
and again, half the time it's just people who just like you as a person. They don't like the material they're putting out, and that's the other thing too. Is like people who have a strong social platform can put out garbage like that and like get away with the fact that everybody says they love their stuff, right?
Yeah, almost like an obligation. Well, I have to like it. He's my friend, and yeah, I'm sure that plays a factor, right? I mean, by association.
So I started off with one of the groups I started off with in Toronto was the Kabayama Bushido-kan, and we had this like JKD family group and everything else. And I remember this guy posted a video, and I was like, I literally said, "What is this garbage that you're posting?" Now, obviously, I didn't make any friends by saying that,
Right off
but
the
it was
bat.
true. It was true. I was like, "Dude, what is this?" And the guy was all offended. He's like, "Oh, I'm trying to show this, this concept or whatever." And I'm like, "Your concept is garbage. Like, it's not going to work." And it was just, and again, who, in the grand scheme of things, who the hell am I, right? Like, but I was just watching this stuff, and I was like, "You're just putting stuff out for the sake of putting stuff out." He's saying like, out of Hubot in the middle of a fight, you can grab someone's finger and just, if you squeeze it hard enough, they'll know that you're a real fighter. And I was like, really? Like, is this what you actually think combat is like, or that real fighting is like? Like, anyways.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And I mean, as far as the positive aspects, obviously promotion, getting your students to see content, creating a community online. There obviously is positive. Getting to know folks, getting your name out there. I mean, all this stuff, and which I'm going to be quite honest, occurred with me. I mean, I was really under the shadows, just kind of. I was known in Connecticut, but it wasn't really until FMA discussion I was hesitant to post anything, and then when I started posting, like, oh my god, you actually train? I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
believe it or not. And so then, well, do you teach? And one thing kind of led to another, and then so I have to be completely honest that I've been afforded opportunity as a result of social media. However, I have not abused it. And I've been very careful not to cross that sort of slippery slope. You know what I mean? Where I'm just going to post off to get more students to see what I'm doing. And if anybody knows me, I rarely post anything. And if it is, it's the harsh reality of empty hand against knife, which I put some stuff in FMA discussion. And that's pretty much the extent of it that I've ever done, really. Just for a multitude of reasons. I mean,
There's a difference, though, Dean, is that you actually check yourself, which a lot of people don't do. You'll actually go out and see, there's like a 250-pound gorilla over there. I'm going to see if the stuff that I've been working on, if it really works.
Yeah.
That's
and
different than some dude who's just like, no one's checking me, so I'm some sort of badass, and now I'm going to, I'm going to just keep talking about how much of a badass I am. Like, that stuff drives me crazy. It's like, hey, it's like I've heard so many guys in the past, and again, I have to. I'll speak on this as a dog brother, where I hear people saying, "Oh, we used to do that too, but we never made a big deal about it."
Oh my god!
And it's like, where's the proof?
It's so different. I can just tell. I can't even like to the degree of what you've gone through, but I can tell you, man, when you're in your small group there and everybody and there's not a bunch of people watching you, it's a very different cultural dynamic. Even beat the crap out of cancer. When I went up, I remember first time, and I saw everybody freaking looking at me. And I'm like, oh my freaking God. And I'm going to tell you something. That was the biggest thing to get through as opposed to whoever the hell was standing across from me. So it's such a different dynamic. I mean, whoever's saying that, no.
Yeah, I was on someone's podcast a while back, and they had said that they were doing Dog Brothers style fighting before they even heard of the Dog Brothers, and I called them on it. And funny enough, that part got edited out of that podcast. Eventually, when it made it, when it got released, and I was like, "What's that all about?" Like, if you're willing to say something, and just like, I want people to check me if I get out of hand. It just, Yeah, it really annoyed the hell out of me.
Yeah. But the other thing positive on the social media, and this could be neat. You're gonna bring out, I'll bring the positive, bring the negative. Like I wouldn't be here right here right now with you if it were not for social media, the FMA discussion platform, and all that. So I'm incredibly grateful for for folks I met and got to know. I mean, really good people like Ty here, and I mean, and like for instance, who just commented. So while there's been some frustrating times, I can honestly say though, it's been the majority has been good. You know what I mean? As we all know, sometimes we get sidetracked by the negativity and something, and I'm guilty, and you kind of lose sight, the what was the positive, and the because you're focused on this negative, right? You get caught up in it, and but
Well,
obviously,
I'm caught up in
I,
it. Oh God, I really am. I wish I wasn't, but it's just like I've seen people who are relatively humble turn into these like media monsters, and it's like, what happened to you? Like,
that's just not checking themselves. That's just not like I don't. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. I don't know what happens here. Actually, like how does that manifest? Like there was an aspect of humility which you saw in this individual, and then I don't know. Like I made myself to check myself regularly. Like when FMA discussion was starting to get popular and all that, but I said, look, man, don't lose sight of who you are and what you're doing. Like, don't freaking do it. You know what I mean? And I've managed to check myself every day like that. Like, don't lose sight of who you are.
I remember like when you and I first started chatting, and I would send you a couple of videos here and there, stuff that is actually still out there, and then I would be like, oh God, was I being a dickhead? Like what?
No, you know what it was is I'd like to bring up something how I requested those Krabika Bong videos and I didn't get them for like a couple months later. I just thought that I'd bring that up.
I'm notoriously bad for getting back to people.
It's
Like
so funny. I remember when he got
anybody.
back to me, I'm like, oh, he came through. Like I thought he just forgot.
I'm just. It's one of those things. I'm notoriously bad for getting back to people, and it's funny. Like I've been teaching a seminar in Ottawa for every year for, I think it's almost like 10 years at this point, and I have probably about 100 hours worth of seminars that I was going to make free for everybody to go take a look at. And I kind of changed my mind the last minute going, I don't think I'm ready for it. I'm not ready for the comments and, the backlash that comes from that as well.
Yeah. Cause it's, well, that's a whole nother thing. I mean, how distracting the social media become. It's like you start arguing with somebody, damn well you're going back to check like what he said. I mean, and it can be so time consuming and then it takes away from your other aspects of life. And then, one of the things I'm not proud of with the whole just FMA journey and that, and I'm going to make sure it doesn't happen with this is, man, like I would see stuff or I would get, somebody would, put me in the middle of something or not have something really nice to say, whatever. And I can tell you right now, I took it not intentionally, but just my mood affected my family. You know what I mean?
It's a pretty well-known fact from a lot of people that I got into like a really idiotic fight in 2014 with Mark Denny. You know what I mean? Like he and we were actually really cool with each other. I really liked the guy and everything else. And we got into this like ridiculous fight. And it was basically a bunch of guys who were like, we don't like this. You should say something because you're the vocal one. And I was like, yeah, I'll take that torch. You guys are behind me. Yeah. And I like storm into battle. And I create this insane forest fire. And then I turned around and I was completely by myself because everybody was like, they're like, good job, buddy. And in the end, not only did I look like an absolute tool in front of a lot of people, like I lost a friend. You know what I mean? Like Mark and I have had our differences, but we were still pals. And
Yeah,
then,
there was still enough there to keep you guys,
yeah, but
yeah.
things got so messed up that at the end that I lost a friend, and it really
I
sucks because
know.
it's like it's been 11 years and it's still bitter. You know what I mean? And it's just like, fuck, man, I wish I would have just kept my mouth shut.
Well, he wants to come on the show, so maybe there's an opportunity for me, you, and him to mend that quo, right?
Sorry.
That's another thing, guys. Me and Renee would like to do. If you guys squabble with somebody and you want to improve status quo,
Yeah.
we would be more than happy to bring you guys on and try to resolve. I mean, that's another thing too with the social media stuff, where things are repairable. Like whatever happened, it's repairable. Like if there was just the two people just talked.
I think that,
Besides getting everybody else involved, now it blows up, and that's what just drives me like nuts. It's just like just go to the person and just try to resolve.
and that's part of the problem too, is um, part of the problem was that, and like you and I say every 5 minutes, I have a day job, right? So when I say something, I don't care. It's like I can tell people, hey, I don't care about anybody and everybody's bullshit because it doesn't affect me. My thing after 11 years of looking at what happened, it's like this dude doesn't have a day job. This is his
Mm.
job. And instead of me just saying, hey, let's have a conversation in the background, I was like, hey, you want to go to war? I'm Spanish and Italian, and I love it.
That's a
let's
bad
let that
combo.
nuclear blood mix and have this. And it went on for like months. It was months, months and months, months. And yeah, I totally shit the bed on that because in the end, I lost a lot of people lost respect for me from my group and the people that I deal with up here. But it just, I think it really damaged our group as a whole because we didn't decide that we were going to squash it.
Right. I know. I know. It's just here's an interesting from Francisco. And folks, put in the comments what bugs you about social media and its relation to martial arts. Maybe there's something you guys we didn't bring up or cover yet. So let us know what bothers you or what you find incredibly positive. I want to say COVID had lots to do with FMA discussion through social media, and FMA explosion. Sorry. During that, I discovered FMA discussion, Apollo, etc. I feel like when you two participated, FMA discussion, Dean and Paulo blew up a lot of others. Yeah, I think that's fair. It's funny. Our most, if when I look back, Francisco, the majority of our views were during that time. Makes sense. People are home and had nothing to do, and because people were home, I was doing two a week because I certainly didn't have a lot going on. So that makes sense during that time frame. I've definitely seen, and things happen. Our views, like anybody else's, there. So yeah, I think that's fair. What you said. Social media drama is the best. Yeah, depending on what side you're on. So
That's the problem too with what I find with social media is like people just get drawn into these battles that have nothing to do
they
with
have nothing to do
no,
with them. What is that about? Like, and then you got to comment and like that gang mentality really bothers me. But here's the thing, though, because I've been putting a lot of thought into this, and I'm guilty, and I'm gonna, this is kind of a confession, if you will. Like I think because I'm, like I said yesterday in the test run, more of an empathetic, try to resolve instead of just going after somebody and yada yada. But I started to begin to think, well, hey, this is my value system. It's the right way. These guys should be doing this. And then I got to thinking, like, wait a minute, maybe drama is an innate part of FMA, and maybe because just the way you handle things, the way you conduct yourself, doesn't mean it's right. you know what I mean? Where the lines? And so now I'm really looking at myself like, well, maybe just because I think that way, obviously doesn't mean other folks should do that or think that, you know?
Well, I think we're expecting people to actually behave like adults, right?
Yeah, right. In short,
And not to act like children. But um, I'm finding that's the other part of it. It's like, well, no, fuck that guy. He said something bad about me, and I'm going to do whatever I can to destroy him now.
yeah.
And that's another thing I'm seeing a lot in social media
And
as
that to
well.
me, man, that is just like I just think there's just so many other ways where you just like that impulsivity of just to go after and counter. Like, what about did you reach out to the person? Like, let you know, and again, I made it very clear during yesterday's test run. I
You're
wanted
the good guy.
I wanted that well that too. I wanted Tim and Paulo to try to, come to a mutual understanding or verbal, verbal or not a verbal, but internet handshake, if you will, or just agree to disagree. But at some point, like
You don't
some
have to be
sort of
pals, just play nice,
or
right?
reconciliation, um, and when and so like I look at like I was thinking today, I'm like, okay, how would I have handled that? And I looked at it from both ends, mind you. And okay, so let's just say Tim posted about me. And I just know in the past, I would have called them. I said, hey, man, like, what's this about? Like,
You
you
live
know,
2 hours from my house. I'm going to drive down.
I would have been like, hey, this kind of bothers me. I thought we're friends. I'm asking you as a friend respectfully, A, can you take it down? And B, before you do that, can you approach me first since we know each other and we're friends, right? On the flip side, if Tim, before I post that, I'm gonna I would reach out, assuming there was ongoing dialogue and me and this person were still talking a lot and all that. I'm not sure where Paulo and Tim were at that junction. I don't think there was any adversity. I don't think at that point. But what
Mhm.
I'm saying is though, but I think if there was some contact initially, I don't know. You know what I mean? I think it could have gone better. I guess.
Listen, uh, when I saw that video, it was just before I went to sleep, and I think I fell asleep laughing because I was like, "Wow, what what a really dumb move."
I know. I
And
know
then,
it makes
like,
me
I
laugh.
literally, I think I sent, I sent Tim a message saying, "Hey, listen, man, like, that was just a dumb move, like, on so many levels." But part of it to me was okay. So, and again, I've only spoken to Paulo like once or twice,
Mm,
but I'm also very aware of that he has a huge following of people.
yeah.
Like if you're gonna go after somebody or say something that you're saying that they're no good or that they're cosplaying or whatever, like give the guy a call and say, hey, I really didn't like what you did. I think I I did a video. I'm gonna post it and I want you to see it first. Or fuck, man, don't do a video at all. Just say I really don't like what you did.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and I'm gonna be
Um,
100% honest with you. Like, if you want to say that someone's cosplaying, cast the first fucking stone, because you better make sure that whatever you're teaching isn't bullshit either.
yeah.
And that's I'm not the first person to think that. Uh, Probably not the first person to say it either. But there's been plenty of times where I sit there and I'm like, Tim, maybe that's questionable. I don't think that would work. But I don't sit there and make a video of him like, hey, Tim's cosplaying again. Like, you're attacking somebody who makes his living as well through social media,
Mm,
right? So maybe think twice about that.
yeah. And then of course, like knowing when to stop. But here's a comment. This is what bothers time. What bothers me is the precision and comments, lazy commenting, the difference between Joe sucks And I don't like what Joe is showing here for these specific reasons. It's actually important. Yeah, absolutely. Like give some context as as opposed to just saying like Joe sucks. So yeah, right on time. Um, to and here's something, Robert. Better to, yeah, I mean, you know what? I mean, certainly just ignore it, right? Don't feed into it. Just let it. And before you know, a week goes by and it's over and forgotten about. I mean, that's, yeah, like I could tell you some folks have done.
Yes and no, though. You know, like the thing that, listen, like when it comes to FMA, we've had to crawl to get some recognition out of some pretty big fucking holes, right? Like I taught at one place for a decade, and I remember every time I walked onto the mats with my sticks in my hand, they're like, you know, they're the macrame guys, right? They're they're the stick guys, and this, that, and the other. And at that time, I already been boxing for like over a decade. I've been Thai boxing for over a decade, but they didn't see that. They saw a bunch of guys with sticks, and so they already think that, you know, we're some joke to begin with. And then you have, you know, some of these guys going online and making these stupid ass comments about different things, and it doesn't help us. It didn't help us go forward. It made us go backwards. Because there's been plenty of times where I walked into a school where they're like, "Oh, you're the stick guys" or whatever, instead of like, "Oh, I've heard about you guys," right? It's like, it's
Just
bullshit.
putting in a category right away. You're the stick guys. Like,
Yeah, it's like, yeah,
what does that mean?
man, you know, and it was that whole, and again, I don't want to shit on Tim too much, but that whole like, FMA is better than BJJ and all this other stuff, like that just caused more bullshit than he actually knows. Like, I don't think it helped anybody.
Yeah, I did. I know. I just felt like when I was watching those two, like I just felt bad and sad. I'm like, here's two guys I know that have helped me, and like they're going at it, and then all these people are jumping in, and just like, wow, I'm like, this is sad. You know what I mean? Like this is really, this is like sad, right? You know what I mean? And it's Tim, a positive from Tim, and this is a guy we should get on. His whole knot of weapons and Spanish influence, unbelievable. Tim, if you ever want to come
You
on,
had me in Spanish.
yeah. Oh yeah, no, yeah, he's yeah, absolutely. But yeah, Tim, if you ever please let us know. Social media is great because it allows like-minded people to connect 100%. Social media is bad because it allows like-minded people to connect.
You know what the problem with social media is that you could have 100 people in the chat room and they won't pick a leader, but they'll pick on someone they don't fucking like. And I think that's the problem with social media, is that they just absolutely love just to destroy people. Like it's insane.
Yeah, like here, okay, Kurt.
Someone
Here's
just wrote an essay.
something to consider. Yeah, I mean, it should, right, to educate, entertain, or inspire. But I didn't see that the last few days. So, but,
Well,
yeah.
here's your prime example, right? So, Tuan McGrath, like, you know, like he has a page which is like learning by comparison. So he's got a bunch of cats out there who are showing their different things, and no one's saying that sucks compared to what I do.
Yeah. No.
Here's a man who's like, yeah, man, like let's all get together and learn.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, it doesn't matter. Let's get together and do this. Instead of, you know, one guy saying what you're showing is bullshit.
Yeah.
Listen, like, and I say this to everybody that I meet. When I first saw your knife stuff, I was like, not happening. You're not going to pull that shit on me. Not going to pull the shit on me. and I was adamant, like it was never going to work. And then you rip a knife out of my hand, and you're like throwing me around in my basement, in my own basement. And I was like, oh, I guess this works. So, you know, it's like, I don't know.
Then
I'm going to go on a tirade. It just drives me
after
crazy.
that, I got the lovely headbutt in the chest
Yes, but you deserved it.
I'm okay.
I didn't laugh a lot. I just laughed a little, just so you know. Hey, no, it drives me crazy, and I think that's the problem too. Is like going back to Tuhan. It's just like he's got this page, and that is an awesome thing to go and check out because he's got people from all over the world.
Agreed. Absolutely. You know, and you know, here's another thing too. There's a few people I respect a lot of people on there, but there's by no, and what, you'll see where I'm getting at with this. Just by modeling, Tom Sotis. Let me first on Tom Sotis. Okay, you've never seen Burton's guys act like jerks, reps, or Tom Sotis reps act like jerks. Do you know why? Because we can't. There's accountability. We just can't go out there and just do that. And I like that. It keeps, you know what I mean? But that's my value system, right? But you'll never see one of Burton's or Tom's. And I think Bill McGrath should be thrown in there. Like, I've never seen them guys act like idiots in there. And sometimes I don't know if there's just accountability. I mean, if you're under somebody, obviously, if you're flying solo, well, then there's, I mean, self accountability, right? Which I'm just catching all the comments here.
Back in the day, like going back to the Makoto days in the early 90s and 2000s, he had a pretty good ear on the ground. So even my bouncing days, if he heard that I was being a dickhead, he'd call me. And he'd say,
imagine that.
and he would say it, you got to come to class tonight. I'm like, well, I'm kind of tired or whatever. He's like, you're coming to class tonight. And he would just hang up. And then I would just start panicking. I was like, oh my God, what the hell's going to happen? But, you know, and it's the same thing. Like, you know, like Phillips guys have always been like that. He had a really tight, you know, brain on what was going on.
Yeah.
A lot of the BC guys were like that as well. And the one thing I like about Burton, he never talks smack about anything. About anybody.
And it drips down to the reps like me and all that. It's a culture. Tom Sotis has a culture. We're not allowed to talk about their systems, post videos, or anything like that. Absolute culture.
And the cool thing is culture, you know? Everybody people would talk all kinds of smack about Burton, but he would never respond. He would never respond. It'd be like,
oh no, I've seen it. Matter of fact, I went to his defense one time, and I reached out to him and I said, look, you know, he's doing this. I go, what? I mean, and I basically was saying to him, like, kind of like, you know, like this is the second time. And he goes, I'm going to let it go. I'm not going to feed into it, but it'll be the third. And sure enough, the guy did a third time. Burton talked to him and it never happened again. But it goes to show you, like, how Burton conducts himself. And, you know, Burton's statement is, his cliche is, when they're complaining, we're training. I mean, that's his thing, you know.
Oh yeah. You know what's funny about that is, like, I hear a lot of people, and again, I take a lot of stuff when it comes to Dog Brothers very personally because I am a Dog Brother and I love the organization. So when I hear people saying, "Well, Burton didn't do this and Burton didn't do that," and it's like, I don't know how old Burton is. I forgot. I think he's 53 or 54.
No, early 60s.
I'm just kidding. But. I don't see you training as hard as he does, and I'm
seeking out new systems and like being a student. I mean, he is such a role model.
Still sparring, still fighting, still going on the beach.
Yeah,
doing stuff with students. And if you're not that person, kindly shut the fuck up because you have no business saying anything. You know, if you're telling me how badass you are, but you're, you know, the only thing you're fighting is diabetes, shut up. I don't want to hear it anymore because I'm done. Cool. Yeah. I'm not going to be cool about this anymore. You know, like telling me how, you know, amazing you are and everything else.
Yeah.
None of these people have a goddamn video of them like fighting, you know, like, and again, I'm not a good fighter. I just enjoyed it while I was doing it. And it bugs me to my soul that these guys are going out there. It's like, well, that guy's, he wouldn't survive if I did kick number 3 to him. It's like, You didn't even tie your shoes. You have Velcro on your laces. Shut up.
Kick number 3.
Yeah.
That's funny. I mean, yeah, no. Here's another pet peeve. And obviously, give your take on this. When you see people doing whatever they're showing, whatever weapon, whatever, and they don't give credit, and man, they got that from somewhere else. You just know it, and that irks me, man. But again, that's me. Like, you know what I mean?
That's pretty cheap.
What's that?
That's real cheap. I had a guy who was in the organization that I'm in, and he moved up the ranks pretty quickly. And then he refused to call me his instructor. He would just say, he is one of my coaches. And at first, it used to really bother me. And I was like, fuck, whatever, man. If that makes him happy, let that make him happy. But for a while there, I was like,
yeah. You're like, huh? That just really irks me. Like, just give credit, man. Like, you're getting all these likes and these views, and you can't even tell you where you got the inspiration from. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? Like, that's just right.
Yeah. And listen, I'll be the first one to say, like, there's a lot of people out there. Is like, one of my students is a dog brother. And again, sorry guys, I talk about the dog brothers a lot because I've been in the organization for almost 20 years, and I absolutely love it. So, and I promote the shit out of it. But when people tell me it's like, well, one of my students is a dog brother, I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. It's not you that did it. It's your student. You might have, given him some guidance, but he's the guy who went out there and did it. So don't take credit for your guys.
Yeah.
It's like, one of my students is a cop. One of my students is a stuntman. You didn't do anything about that. They did.
Yeah.
Stop taking credit for your student's stuff.
Yeah. We got Ty. Okay, Ty. If people could stay away from the homeland, and that alone would be a huge improvement. I might not like some words or moves or interpretations or whatever, but do not know enough to talk about the person doing these things. And the person's personality is actually immaterial to the facts of those words, moves, and I got my glasses on, man. Jesus.
Well, Ty, I really want to know 10 words you don't like.
Applications, etc. Sorry, I know too many words. No, thank you. So, Ty. Yeah, folks, again, if you stuff that you like or dislike social media, list them. But the whole face-to-face, like, man, like, certain people say and do things, but man, if that guy was on the door knocking,
I've seen it, and it's such a beautiful thing when it happens, right? I've seen it firsthand. I hate to say it, but there's a part of my personality that absolutely loves those moments in life when mouth meets reality, right?
That's why. Remember, I was telling you, like, I check myself when I was doing, like, don't fall there, because I always go with it. Okay, would I say this to this person if they were standing right in front of me due to potential consequences? And so that's how I use. That's my kind of my metric. Like, if I couldn't say it to their face, I'm not going to do it online.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a good way to live your life. I don't have a problem, like whatever I say to you or whatever I've said to you, I'll say to you in person. Like I'm cool with that. And as you know, like, hey, listen, like, I remember I had a Renee moment where I was like, fuck everybody, I'm out of here. And I started jumping off all these different groups that I belong to. And I was really pissing people off, but I was like, I know it's hard to believe, but it was just one of those moments where I was like, and then I had to sit back and go, sorry, I kind of flew off the handle. So,
yeah, freedom is, definitely, yeah.
Oh, freedom of speech is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's just, you need to have the consequences to back that shit up, right? Like, it's just, there's,
yeah.
if you want to keep telling me you're a badass fighter, then I want to see some badass fighting.
Yeah. If you're gonna, here's another one: criticism versus critique. I had a really interesting conversation with Dwight Woods about this, and these are the two words that came up. And much credit to him on this, with the dialogue I had with him. And there really is a difference. Like, I think some folks, like what Ty was saying, he's coming from that critiquing aspect. But it'd be me, if you're defensive and all that. I mean, like, well, who? I've seen this. Like, well, who the hell are you to tell me and all that? And the guy's just critiquing. It could be just like a question, like, hey, why are you doing it that way? Like, you know what I mean? Like a pure critique, right? And I've seen these guys just fly off the handle with all this. So that whole thing of recognizing the difference between the two, Hey there, a lot of FMA guys don't like what I do, but oh well. There's some stuff I did in the past vids and make myself cringe. Yeah, we all, man. I look at my old stuff and yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed by it, right?
Are you embarrassed by it, or you just recognize that you actually grown from it? That's a different story. Like
I think both. For me, both. Yeah.
Yeah, like I look at, like, I used to do a lot of demos and stuff with one of the groups I belong to, and I see some of the stuff that I did, and I was like, like,
yeah, like, oh my gosh, like I look at my early Piper, like I have all my videos because which I sent a ton of videos to Lloyd for critique, and Lloyd didn't critique, he just criticized. Lloyd was brutal. But being thick-skinned, that was it. But I look back then to where I'm now, and I'm like, I can't even look at the old stuff. It's like god awful to me. You know what I mean? But here's Ty. This is good. Ty always comes up with some good stuff. The other side of social media is that the non-flashy, non-dramatic just doesn't get the visibility 100%. So it encourages the over dramatic or play, whatever he says there, right? Just like how the views is no longer the news we grew up with. That is so true. Like, man, like you see it all the time. The flashy, it's not gonna work, man. But then you look at the views it gets, it's just like, holy crap. But then you see somebody grinding it out, on a wall with somebody trying to stab them and all that. Yeah, I mean, nowhere the right. Certainly, I've seen that. Just catching up here. Recognize and learn. Words are easy to misinterpret without having the benefit of the real life cues. Flash and controversy sells, actually discouraging. Dispassionate, hardworking, simple, effective. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And
hell yes. Like I've said this even at the last time we chatted, where it's like fighting is ugly, and that there's nothing special about it. It's just down and dirty, and it's gonna really friggin' suck.
Yeah. Oh, don't go, Ty. Don't go. He's got to go back to work. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But people love that flashy stuff, right? They want it to be that way. They really, really deep down inside want it to be that way. It's not.
They do. I see it all the time. And yeah, like what I appreciate seeing on social media. And this is just me. Like somebody that's putting the work, like emptying against knife, man. And maybe they failed, but man, they were going about it with integrity and honesty. I have so much appreciation for that because of being in there doing it for 20 years, as opposed to somebody's doing this tapping drill and they're doing all this stuff what they think they could do for disarms, but people love it because it just looks so great. But none of that is freaking going to happen, because I could tell you that for 20 years. If you don't believe me,
let me take that knife away from you.
I'm just like, do you see this knife? Empty Angus knife amps me up.
Like I'll say this, like even because Mark Medeiros is watching, and not just because he owes me $20.
Well, maybe he won't have to owe anymore since he's watching. Right?
His, like when he trains with his group, it's gonna be pressure. I want you to take this knife away from me. Pressure.
I've seen this.
Like even like Thomas Holtman when he was doing a bunch of stuff with his BJJ guys. It's like, okay, I have a knife. Now I need you to get this away from me. It's all pressure. And the same guys are like, oh, I'll take him to the ground and I'll smother the knife. Those are the same people that afterwards are like, hey, I'm going to stand.
Hey, I think standing is better than being on the ground.
Standing kind of, it works for me. And I'd rather see a video of people pressure testing something and failing all the time
100
than to see someone, do some bullshit, move like that Dust guy, whatever the hell his name is.
Who's that?
Dust, the guy from Detroit. Like the guy who's got like the academy. He's always wearing the MMA gloves and the little headset. Anyways, he does like some of the most extraordinary bullshit that I've ever seen.
Okay.
But he had a couple of celebrities on his show, and all of a sudden everything was awesome, right? But yeah, I love watching videos of people really grinding that shit up. To me, that's like my favorite.
Yeah, especially when it involves knife, man. Because if they're doing it, if they're just cosplaying and rolling around. No, but I'm talking about like it's going. I mean, it's on, whether it's position isolation or it's from standing to the ground, anything like that.
I've been watching.
Who's this? Not trying to hijack, but I really do hope FMA. Francisco just can't stop thinking about FMA discussion. Well, we can talk about that right now. Why not? Since Francisco brought it up. Unless do you have more to say? I'm sorry, Renee. Anything else you want?
No, I was just saying that my latest, rabbit hole for me is I've been watching amateur wrestling matches and the foot sweeps that they do. Because when they close in, they're taking people down. I'm like, man, if I could pull that shit off in a stick fight, that would be pretty awesome. So I've been watching a lot of what they do because they're in the middle of a match, right? So for me, watching a lot of those matches are actually pretty cool because I've been seeing a lot of really neat stuff.
Oh. You know who pulled that stuff off in stick fights? Dog Brothers? Sweeps?
I'm sorry?
You know who pulled off sweeps in Dog Brothers? Burton. Okay, so Francisco, not trying to hijack, but I really do hope this discussion continues. I've learned about and never met many cool people, history, stories, and etc. through FMA discussion. Yeah, so I'm not closing it out, Francisco. I'm definitely want to put my attention here. I'm going to be completely honest about that. However, if there's an interview that comes up where it's just solely FMA centric, then I'm going to use FMA discussion platform for that. So definitely not going to close it. I just want folks to know what happened the last couple of days. Certainly did not that was not the only reason why I chose to overnight literally form this panel with Renee. The last year and a half, just to be completely honest with folks, it hasn't been really enjoyable like the previous 3.5 years. I was just dealing with a lot of drama and negativity. Some of it was KI related. There was some Piper stuff. I mean, it just a lot over that last year and a half, which resulted in me taking a month off like about a year and a half ago. And that's where it kind of started. And I began to question my effectiveness really overall with it. And I was starting to lose steam, excitement. And how I know that is, I was telling this to Renee. When Renee sent me the logo, I was at the gym and I got kind of giddy. And I didn't remember having that giddy feeling. It was a long time. So so the last year and a half, I kind of just been going. And if you guys noticed, we're doing as far as frequency goes as much, particularly in the last few months. And then the reason being is it just, after a while, just dealing, like between the passive aggressiveness towards me, been unfriended by a few people where it wasn't even my fault involving 52 blocks thing. people asking me for money because I did the fundraisers, and then relatives actually reaching out. This is all true stuff. I have email messages to back it up. And then when there were no more fundraisers or we weren't getting support for that, all of a sudden these people kind of just fell off the face of the earth and didn't hear from anymore there. Just a lot. And the crab mentality, let's be honest, in the Filipino community, so collectively, yeah. And so I don't want to close out because of all the work and effort I put into it. I have to do something like all the video as far as a library thing, which I'm going to think and consider. But my drive and my motivation right now, my inspiration right now is with Marshall Meh, with Renee for now. But definitely,
It's really
not going to close out. Dean here, I'll refriend you. Oh, thank you so much, Ty. That really means a lot. So there's my thing on the FMA.
Close the door, please. Thanks, Bubba.
Okay, catching up with we got a ton of comments coming in. I'm having difficulty keeping up with them. 355. 355 keeps coming up.
It just can't be duplicated.
Yes, outside, definitely rolling on a pavement. Yeah, absolutely, Earl. Yeah. Yeah, those are fun days. Okay, I think I'm caught up. Oh, thank you. All these guys are gonna refriend me. Don't under the good. Yeah, no, and I appreciate that, GM. I mean, you've always been incredibly supportive, and it just, I just feel at this point, I just need a redirection, right?
Well, it's just nice to look at martial arts as a whole, right? Because
that's what I do. This gives me the latitude, right? I mean, and folks notice towards the end of the discussion. I mean, there's somebody who was FMA, but it was really kind of really going outside the box. You know what I mean? Now I can really, I mean, everything. Like we're talking about social media martial arts right now. I mean, next maybe it'll be Russian Sambo, and maybe you know what I mean. We have the latitude and flexibility to.
I'll tell you right now, if I was 20 years younger, I would be doing Sambo like in a heartbeat.
I got a student, Ronan. He's in the group Sobrano, and he's like a Sambo coach. And I mean, looks pretty formidable. I mean,
it's amazing. It's just so nasty and dirty. It's awesome. You watch some of those competitions that they have.
Yeah, kind of frightening, right? From watching what they're doing to each other. Anything on social media? Anything we didn't cover?
I guess I think we didn't really speak about that whole thing that happened this week, which again I hope it clears up.
I really do too. I hope they haven't just ruled each other out and said that's it, I'm never gonna talk. I hope maybe I don't know, a couple of weeks go by, whatever, and maybe they want to revisit coming back on with us.
There's two ways I look at this. Number one is, and it's just like me. First of all, first and foremost, I'm just giving you my opinion. I have whatever. Who the fuck am I? And that's the way I kind of feel about the whole thing. At the same token, it's if you want to judge someone's stuff, at least give them a call first and don't use it for your views. And number two is, if you want to judge someone's stuff, make sure that you are not doing the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, and if you are doing the same thing, like we talked about, just where'd you get it? You know what I mean? How hard is that? Actually posted his own. Yeah, I did hear that, David, that he went live. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully, yeah, I just hope this is not the end of the chapter with them. You know what I mean? I just think that would be a shame. Like, like for instance, when I made up that flyer, one of the pictures I used with them sitting together, so obviously, I mean, these guys, I mean, they met obviously. This was just not a internet like relationship. They actually met. And so hopefully, that's the thing too, like just you create this friendship and this I think it has somewhat to do with age too. Like, when you get older, man, your friends, let's face it, your friend, it kind of goes like this. You know what I mean? Like high school,
For me, it's more like
college, whatever. Yeah.
for me,
And
it's more like a
so
straight line, Dean.
yeah, but so like, and you're gonna throw that away over something that could be repaired. I just think, man, I just think that would be worth the effort. You know what I mean? Like when I look what was done, there was something there that could have been resolved in my opinion. You know what I mean?
I think it was a very bad call, and it was done for views. And I think looking back, they should have. There was no point in doing that because all of us could look back at take a snip of a video and take it out of context and say this is bullshit. Like, what's the whole thing? What are we working on? What's going on here?
Mm.
And and listen, I'm a reactive person too. If someone calls me out, I'm not hard to find. I'm just not. And things like that used to really piss me off. Like there was an incident with Paulo fighting someone who I used to train, and he got hit with an elbow, and that turned into a big fiasco. And and when I jumped in saying, hey, when you're fighting with people who train with people like me, that's going to happen. And a lot of the minions jumped on my back. I didn't give a shit. What are you going to do? Like, oh, you're going to hurt me with your words? Oh no. Right.
But I find that ironic. Here you are, seasoned veteran and dog brothers, God knows how many fights, and they're jumping on you. And these are guys that probably never even, yeah, I don't know.
You get hit with a fucking elbow, man. Deal with it. And that's the way I looked, and that's the way I literally responded to it. It's like, hey, I'm sorry this happened. But it turned into this, like, there was a big giant, like conversation that happened with 3,000 people. And there's a bunch of guys where I said, hey, like, because at that point, people were talking about age and fighting and everything else. And I'm like, at that time, I was in my 40s. And I was like, I'm still in my 40s. I know guys are still fighting their 60s. Get that, like, put that into your head for a second. And you're going to, make fun of them. And, people are like, oh, no one asked you and this, that, and the other. And I was like, all right, cool. I've said what I've had to say. But am I going to sit there and make a video and sit there like, oh, they hurt my feelings because, they don't like what I said.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, right. I guess when is too far, right? Like when you just need to kind of just like go by the wayside and stop.
I think the main problem here, Dean, is that we have two people. We have two people who have they have a lot of people who follow them, and I think why not help grow the art instead of causing this bullshit in between,
right?
Because honestly, that's how the Dog Brothers started. Is like they got rid of they everybody like said, screw this, we don't want this anymore, and we want to like move
right,
forward.
We want something, yeah.
And like Alexander, yeah, fight till you die. I kind of made a deal with another guy out of Europe that I'm probably going to fight every 2 years from now until I turn 65. And when I do, I think I'm going to stop. But we have people who fought into the 60s, and I mean fight. I'm not saying that they sparred, or they actually went for it. And I think that's what keeps you kind of like. That's the only thing about martial arts that I like, is that it's keeping me active. All the other stuff
Yeah.
for me, like especially all the stuff that the fact that we even have to talk about the fact that we have to talk about how two adults should be talking to each other is embarrassing.
Sad in a way. Sad. I mean,
It's fucking bullshit.
yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, come on now. We're not talking about teenagers or early 20s, right? I mean, sketch up there in the comments. Here's one, and this Jeff Berger, Coach Jeff Berger, is going to be coming on with us, actually in a couple of weeks. Posting controversy gets more attention than content. For me,
Hell yeah,
it's a turnoff. Yeah, I can't argue that.
yeah. It's we love drama, like, because whether we like it or not.
I mean, and I said that this freaking community, and its evidence shows, is driven by drama. Because otherwise, all
And listen,
would have jumped in. You know what I mean?
there's drama in all martial arts.
And that's
I sure as
absolutely.
hell been involved in.
Is this the new place?
We talked about this, like the JKD
No.
nucleus and all the other shit that went on. Yeah, Stephen Kuss here,
Oh.
fucking animal. Like the nucleus and everything that happened after that created all kinds of stuff, But to me, the people that matter the most are the people, like that's why I like arts where they get tested on a regular basis. There's drama in all kinds of martial arts, but I love BJJ and I love Muay Thai because you go in there and you are boxing even or wrestling because you can't lie. You can't lie to the person in front of you.
Yeah, you're in Psychotron, you can't get out. Like, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, right? What's the data and origins of the drama? I'm not Maynard. I'm just not sure what you're asking there, buddy. Just if you can clarify, so I can answer, or Renee can answer. Renee, my kid is still giving a hard time because my cool friend told him to.
I called I called Cisco to see how he was doing because of the fires and all that.
Oh yeah.
And he was doing some grocery shopping, and so was I. And he put his son on for 2 minutes, and I said, "I want you to give your dad a hard time, nonstop for me." So.
Oh jeez. The ultimate role model.
Yes, and Eric's right. You can't lie when there's no place to hide.
Yeah, right. That's what I mean. You're under somebody's mount, man. What are you gonna, right?
Yeah. I watch these videos where they show a guy who's like the 400-pound white belt who's like sitting on top of the 120-pound black belt, and the guy's just sitting there going, how do I get out of this? It's like, exactly. How do you get out of this? Like, do it.
Yeah, right. Man, oh man. Yeah, this is so social media, right? I mean, it can be a wonderful thing, bring folks together.
I'll say this, like from my perspective, social media helped beat the crap out of Cancer Grow. It's global.
Yeah,
it's a whole other entity that I don't even have control of it anymore. I don't want control of it. I just want it to be like some viral thing that happens forever and a day. The only thing that I would love is for the people who started to get some recognition out of it. But other than that, as long as money's being raised for the right reasons, yeah, go for it. But everything else, like, to me, it's just, it is what it is.
I must be immature because I'm still Angelo. There's a Muck brother. And Muck. Okay. Oh, here. Okay. Now I understand Maynard. So his question. Like the third or fourth time where the drama shut down the site, I'm just wondering who the whiners are. Couple times I shut it down because there was so much content. I had like 40 posts in there, so more would come shut it down than just. So it wasn't all due to drama, to be honest. Where I shut it down for a month, a year and a half ago, that was KI related and all that. And I was in Hawaii, and I'm just like, this is a perfect time to shut it down for a month. That was the first time, really. The latest was just a couple of days ago, and I was just, to be quite honest, I was just incredibly disappointed, disgusted the way some the folks were acting in there, and I shut it down because I need to clear mind what decide what I was going to do as far as this. Am I going to do this new podcast and keep there? So I just wanted some peace of mind and focus and not be distracted. Decide what I was going to do. So that was the most recent shutdown, which was only like a day. So.
Well, it got ridiculous, right? Like, because there was nothing productive about what's being said.
No, no. I was so I was disgusted, to be honest. Yeah.
And like, yeah, I'm with you on that. It's like after a while, it's just you get enough of that nonsense, right? It's like,
yeah,
like who the fuck are you to say some of these things? Seriously. And
but again, back to that,
field. It's like,
because for sure, face to face, right? So all this kind of comes full circle, right? I mean, like some of the, like some of these guys wouldn't be doing that if the person was in the room, right? There would be a much different dialogue, I guarantee.
And obviously, you and I chatted about it, and when we said these guys got to sit down and talk, it would have just eliminated a lot of that stuff.
I totally agree. I think if a phone call, if they got on yeah, that's what I mean. Like this was repairable, in my opinion, and I hope that it does. Like I hope cooler minds will prevail, and they can either get on the phone or video chat or here, but whatever the venue or platform may be. But I hope they can rectify, and I hope this is not what is going to be permanent among them too. I mean, that would be sad,
I was thinking the same thing, but as you mentioned before, I'm not the nice person out of the relationship here. So there's a part of me which is like, who cares? If this is the way you're gonna act, then just whatever. Like you're upset, and instead of like saying, okay, we're gonna have a chat about this and tell me, I want you to tell me how this is wrong. I want you to tell me how what I'm teaching or showing is wrong. It turns into this, like, like fuck that guy and he sucks and they suck, and it's like,
whatever, and everybody knows I don't like that. I just but again, though, back to value system. Who am I to think what people should do or shouldn't do based on what I do or how I conduct myself, right? And that was a hard lesson to learn during the FMA discussion. I'm like looking at these people like, well, why are they doing what I'm doing? You know what I mean? So I realized like, that's not going to happen. Hey, you got them both popping in, huh? Hi, Ronan. How are you?
Have you punched anybody today? Exactly. All right, mute it. Go downstairs, buddy. Please and thank you.
So, you know what I did? I forgot to ask you when we didn't, because based on like what you got going on and what your flexibility is and what your preference is this something you want to do weekly, bi-weekly? I'm fine with either. I mean, I already got kind of a list of guests. I'm fine with weekly, but weekly doesn't work for you, then
hey, listen, you're driving the bus. I'll just if I don't like this stop that it's driving past, I'll just get off it, right? So
you can't get off. You're the co-host. You can't. Where'd he go?
I'll just have an emergency. Oh no, my son needs a Band-Aid.
Oh my freaking!
No, I'm good with anything. I'm cool with it, with all of it.
I mean,
it's very different for me because it's like a commitment.
I'm committed.
And I just like kind of like pissing people off, and then
oh my freaking God! Don't even pull that stunt on me. Oh my God, Renee.
Alexander, beat the crap out of cancer thing has happened here in Brazil. No, but if you want to, I can hook you up with it, and you can start it up.
Oh, that would be neat, huh? Alex, that would be a great thing if you could get something going down there with them.
Yeah. And just to give you an idea, like, so Beat the Crap kind of evolved from being an FMA thing, like a stick fighting thing, to now a lot of locations are actually just having a fight day. So they'll have a stick fight, then they'll have a boxing match and the BJJ match or whatever. And I don't really care as long as it raises money for a good cause. Have at it. You know, like if you want to have an interpretive dance match, go for it. You know, just
Oh, so just not stick centric. Okay.
oh God, no, and you know, and again, like going back to Beat the Crap and social media. Our first event, we had 48 fighters. When we raised that in 2 weeks, our second event, we had 75. And after that, we had 120 fighters show up.
Oh, wow.
And we fought for like 5-6 hours nonstop. It
That's
was
incredible. Wow.
really amazing. And it really brought the community together. And then after that, you know, politics happened. And I got tired of, same thing like Dean. I just got tired of running the whole thing. And
Gets exhausting, right?
oh, here you go, Dean. Hello.
I was attacked by a flying.
She still misses you. She's like,
on that. I tell you, the funniest thing was, I swear to God, the funniest thing was the night when I stayed there. I opened I think it was the Saturday night into Sunday morning. And opened the door, and she's just like right there. I'm just like I have a horror movie or something like that. Hey, you ready? Just like,
well, she'll do that. She'll like there's been times where I go to sleep and she's staring at me. And then like I wake up 4 hours later and she's like still staring at me. So, I don't know if she like takes a break and goes out and make a sandwich or something, but when
I have to admit, that is one of the funniest dogs that I have ever been around. I mean, that dog is just funny.
she's hilarious.
It really,
Like,
I mean,
respectfully
really,
does.
I mean, really, I'm just not saying that. I mean, that dog is genuinely funny. How old is it?
She is 11.
But yeah, but that's, I mean, but the longevity is pretty decent, right? I mean, you got, right? Or no?
You know what? I'm blessed because she's as far as old as she is, she's still like she's like a puppy. You've seen her.
Oh my God,
So,
energy, like to, yeah. No issue there.
the absolute best in the world is I took her to a like a doggy daycare.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, is your dog okay? And I was like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, we threw the ball and she kept grabbing it and bringing it back. I go, well, how long did you do that for? They're like, 8 hours.
And I was trying to
Like,
leave the room.
like crawling.
I want to go home, and then it's like blocking the door with the ball.
Oh, and if she likes you, she just tries to get your attention, as you know. She like, you know,
my God, that was so funny. Open the door, I'm like, oh.
she did this like really crazy parkour move where she ran at somebody and jumped off their chest and jumped on someone else, like body slammed them. It was insane. And I was like, yep, yeah, that's my dog.
I'll never forget when Cherry Dog, I'm sorry, his first name?
Rob Peaker.
Rob, and he's a good guy, by the way.
Who, by the way, if it's sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
If you want an official Rob Peaker, what do you call it?
What's that?
Air freshener. Let me know.
Official Rob Peaker air freshener.
Yes.
Okay, go to you. So I just remember the corner of my eye
to give you air freshener. Okay. Just go back and go get it. Thanks, buddy.
I remember just sitting next to him, and at the corner of my eye, I see this thing come flying in the air, and I'm like, and then just literally just flying kiss, and I'm just like, I was violated.
I took her to obedience school. She did the same thing. The head coach person was talking, and my dog jumped on her leg, and then it was like she was talking, and her like a mouth went like, and just yeah.
So next week then. So what I'll do is, if you're okay with it, I'll pick a guest to come on,
Okay.
and we can both just ask questions and have our.
We have
So
Ronan. We're gonna have Ronan as our guest.
and Ronan can ask a question or two if you'd like.
Oh, Among Us? Yes, you're Among Us.
Yeah. Look at
Oh,
that.
by the way, they've been stick sparring with the soft sticks.
There's a stick.
Just
There's
randomly hitting
black.
each other.
There's black, gray.
Yeah,
funny.
they're starting early. Yeah, it's too bad because now I can't swear as much as I wanted to.
No, but that's gonna be the.
Okay, that's all.
No, do what you gotta do, man, because I think that's gonna be the difference between it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
here,
that's
by
what
the
we're
way,
gonna-
here's the official Rob Peaker air freshener.
Oh my goodness! Look at that. You're gonna have to save one for me.
Oh, I'm selling them. I'm gonna be. I put them in with my orders for the hoodies and stuff that I sell.
So you get an air freshener with a hoodie. Oh my God.
Absolutely.
See? Can't beat that. Wow.
I wonder if it's bedtime. I wonder.
Gee. All right. Well, hey, we'll wrap it up and get him to bed. But yeah, so I'll let you know obviously who we got coming on next week, but it'll be around the same.
Oh, we have
7,
Eric
8.
Knaus as well, right?
Please do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh,
Talk to him. I mean, like I have a list here, but I know we were talking about it first. So if he says he can come on next week, I mean, let's do it. Yeah.
yeah, he's good to go. I think if we want Arlen back as well, because he's going to be teaching in Spain at the next camp as well.
Did you talk to Eric recently?
Less than a week ago.
Reach out to him if he wants to do next Wednesday. Just let me know, just so I'll. If not, if he can't, I'll just if I'm down, because I know in a few
said,
weeks.
do you want to jump on a podcast with Dean Franco? And he said, who? And I said, no, he's totally up for it.
Yeah, find out for sure. And if not, if he can't do next Wednesday, then I'll go down the list, because we got Ray Floor in a couple of weeks. He needed a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and he actually just was in a BJJ competition.
I saw the picture. Yeah.
67.
That's all. Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I lose my breath going up a set of stairs.
Yeah.
It's the burden of 355.
The weight that's had on you. You know what I mean? Gosh.
It's made me age.
It's like the bearer 355. You know what I mean? Like the ring, like being a ring bearer. You know what I mean? Like
Now you know how Frodo felt when he had to.
All you need to do is just look at you, right? That's all we knew.
Now we know how Frodo felt carrying that ring of power.
Comes great responsibility.
Yeah. All right. So next week.
Absolutely. So just the only thing I'm going to need to know from you is just if Eric's a go for Wednesday. If not, I will go down the list.
Wednesdays are good for me, and yeah, actually any day is really good for me. Just let me know what you want.
See if you can do Wednesday, because I just like Tuesday night I got the class 7 to 8. I won't be there. Thursdays are kind of rough, so Wednesday really, yeah, that would be the best actually if you could.
And as you know, right now that's when the kids are going the craziest.
What time?
Around now, because one of them's crawling into a closet.
Yeah, but that wasn't that bad. They popped in.
I'm just waiting for like a hammer to come back and like,
or a flying stick.
I took a stick to the face the other day. I was just kind of minding my own business, looking at my phone, and I just looked up at the last second, and it came in.
Oh my God!
So, yeah, but it's raising feral children. It's a good thing.
Feral.
All right, Dean.
All right.
And,
Good
thanks to everybody who's listening to my rant. And like I said, I want to make sure I don't come across like a total dickhead. Like, this is just the way I feel, right? And these are my feelings towards social media and the the negativity. There's so much. There's positive stuff that can come out, but lately I've just not seen it. I've just seen more negative.
Well, maybe, I mean, hopefully buyers, I mean, maybe we can have an effect on that. That's all, you know what I mean? If we keep bringing it up and calling people out, and maybe we can change the culture for the positive, right? I mean, you know,
Or just give people an avenue where they're not going to be fed BS, right?
yeah, or that.
And I want to swear so bad, but my kid's behind me.
All right, awesome. I will be in touch.
All right, sir.
All right.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye. All right, that wraps up episode 1 of Marshall Meh. Okay, so who's next? Well, you heard it. Hopefully he can get Eric Nels. If not, I will be running down my list, but you will see it posted. Now, for now, I'm going to be basically kind of using FMA discussion as a hub, but I think fair to say there will be probably an eventual group just dedicated to this podcast where announcements, upcoming interviews, et cetera, et cetera. But for the meantime, I will put in a link there where this video will be downloaded to. Okay. But I do thank everybody for jumping on and watching. And until next Wednesday, I'll see you guys then.